You are listening to A Scary State, and this week we're talking about South Dakota. So, Lauren?
Yes, Kenzie?
Let's get scary.
Mom was like, your sound effects sound so fun.
They are so
I
fun.
was like, I know you like them because you bought it for us.
Thanks, Mom. I am having the best time.
I know you are.
And I figured out how to re-record so we can have more
Oh my God,
sounds.
yeah, I forgot we've learned that.
Yeah. Actually, you know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to take this with me
Okay.
and record the sounds.
Oh my God. That'll be so fun.
Yeah.
And it'll be a surprise what sounds.
Yeah, because we're also going to check to see if those things work, because if they do, I'm going to take one of those and take this, and then I can record it using the good mic.
Yeah. We've been getting real techie over here.
So techie.
Is it going to work? Who knows? But it's fun to pretend and see if it works.
I just feel really cool having this thing on my lap.
Yeah, our soundboard is pretty cool and it lights up and it's really fun.
I just hope that the thingy we got to plug in the mics to this thing work so that we can start changing our voices. Because that was so fun.
That was so fun.
It's funny.
I was listening to, what was I listening to? It was a podcast, but I can't remember like what the podcast was. Oh, I think it was, they were just like changing voices for people talking about stuff. But I was like, oh my God, that sounds just like our voice changer.
Maybe they have the same one.
I thought so too. And I was like, that sounds just like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is cool.
So cool.
We're also supposed to get more snow here. So Mackenzie and I are recording at like 7 in the morning. Gross. No, 10 a.m. instead of our typical 1 p.m.
I don't have a boo sound.
Oh, that's going to be one you need to make.
We're going to have to write it down.
Yeah, I think so.
And we got 4.
4 options.
So we got to be really specific which ones we want.
I think a boo would be great because we do boo a lot of like people in our stories.
We do.
I have one where we would really want to boo.
I'll boo.
Okay, good.
We need like a wah, wah, wah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we only have 2 left. Yeah.
If you have any suggestions, let us know.
Yeah.
We had 2 left. We'll take the best 2.
The best 2.
Yeah. Boo, wah, wah, wah.
Mana, mana, doo, 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 doo. Your wah, wah, wahs reminded me of that. I don't know why. No, I do know why, because it sounded like it.
Mana, mana.
Okay, should we just jump into South Dakota?
Sure.
Don't let the forbidding name keep you away. The Badlands, Barren Buttes, and Spires confounded 19th century pioneers because the rugged terrain made travel difficult. A century later, however, federal officials took a more charitable view of this unusual panorama, designating it a national park in 1978, the same year, coincidentally, that Bruce Springsteen's Badlands first hit the radio.
Coincidence? I think not.
Most tourists pass through these parts on their way to and from Mount Rushmore, some 90 minutes west. But Badlands National Park, an easy detour off Interstate 90, is well worth a visit on its own. Rising from the grasslands of the high prairie are 244,000 acres of miniature mountain ranges, ridges, pinnacles, and oddly shaped formations, rich with fossils and carved by erosion. What are miniature mountain ranges?
Tiny mountains.
You can view them from lookouts along a loop road or venture from your car for short scrambles amid the treeless landscape. Spanning over 1.2 million acres, the Black Hills National Forest is a mix of dense pine trees and open meadows. The forest is home to diverse wildlife like elk, deer, and mountain lions, as well as unique flora like the rare calypso orchid.
Calypso.
Makes me think of, that's like from Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We need to watch those movies. I haven't watched them in forever. What?
I just think of the guy who does like the weird Alexa voice and like will say something. It's because you're not on fucking TikTok.
Well, no one's on TikTok anymore, so.
In like 3 weeks, I'm sure this will end up on TikTok. I mean, on Instagram. God, this sucks.
But see, now we'll be at the same timeline for things.
No, because you're on fucking Facebook.
No, I'm on both. I just get to scrolling on Facebook more than I get to scrolling on Instagram.
Yeah, that's
Just
weird.
love me
I love you.
and accept my ways.
I accept you wholeheartedly. And I will continue to give you shit. You're crazy. But
not my-
this guy, he does a funny voice and he'll like say, have Alexa like do something. And like she gets it, even though he's making the funny voice.
And you know what's sad? Usually you could be like, oh, I'll show you after we record.
Fuck you.
I'm just saying, it's sad. Because now I'll never know what you're talking about. And then you'll be on the same timeline as me in the past. And now I'll be caught up on things. It's going to be great.
Instagram Reels is lame as shit, okay?
It is.
It's
I mean,
so lame.
I get it. I get it. But my life has not changed.
And the comments are annoying.
Why?
Because people don't know how to be funny. God,
but now all the TikTok people are going to be on Instagram Reels.
Oh, we are. We're there.
So it'll go back to kind of like how TikTok was.
It's like all the comments are like, I'm glad we're all here together. But like, they don't know how to take a joke.
Yeah, I have read that in some comments. I'm like, calm down.
It's funny.
It's fine. Right.
Like,
if it's not your humor, scroll on.
Right. But like on TikTok, we would all be laughing together. And on Instagram, it's like we have to have a moral conscience, and I don't want to do that. Like, I saw a great one this morning that was so fucked up. It was rude. It was not nice, but it was so funny. And everyone in the comments was making me feel bad for laughing. And I'm like, well, this is not enjoyable if I can't laugh in the safety of my own home.
Don't worry. People, it'll like become its own thing again. Like, you know, all the TikTok people will come to
my data
Instagram.
if that means I get TikTok back.
I mean, you're already selling it. But I feel like, here's the thing. I feel like it's already being sold for Facebook too. And Instagram too.
I saw a thing on Twitter, because no one's ever going to call it X. And supposedly the person was like a former engineer or something for TikTok.
Oh.
And had like left. And he was like, ask me anything. And someone had asked, like, does TikTok sell data or something like that? And he was like, not as much as American companies do.
Right.
Right. And I'm just like, everyone's so up in arms about shit. And I'm just like, we literally have a freaking number assigned to us at birth.
Right.
That keeps track of us our whole fucking lives.
And I love something where someone was like, I don't want to give my picture to the government. You have a driver's license.
Yeah. And what's hilarious is like Donnie trying to come in here like, I'm going to save TikTok.
Ugh.
Motherfucker, this was your idea to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Back in like 2020. It's a security issue. Huge security issue. God, this is like, and it's just mind-blowing to me that all three branches of government, both sides, came together and said, let's do this.
But we can't come together for anything else. But we can come together for this.
Like, truly, the American government, Democrat, Republican, I don't care what fucking party you're on at this point, literally looked at the people and said, go fuck yourself.
They always say that. They always say that.
Yeah, but they said it loudly this time.
Other times it was like a whisper on the wind.
They were like, now we're going to confirm for you that even though we're supposed to represent you and represent your rights, desires, whatever you want to call it,
right,
we're going to actually now prove to you that that is all bullshit.
Yep.
It's the same way that like you'll get like a survey from your company or whatever. And it's like, give feedback. And really, you're giving feedback that no one is going to read. We get surveys every year. And does anything change? No, because it's to make you feel like you have a say. You don't. And that's what the American government just did.
Yeah.
Like, don't say for the people. You are not for the people. You are for yourselves.
Oh, of course.
For the elite. We are getting so much closer to dystopian stuff. But
other
like,
countries, pray for us.
It's almost like, you know, you used to watch the Hunger Games and shit like that with like, oh, wow, that'd be crazy. And now you're like, I can't watch this because it's a little triggering because I feel like we're close to it.
That's why I can't watch Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
It's such a like intense show in the first place. And so I can only watch like an episode or two at once. But then as everything started to actually happen, I haven't been able to watch for a couple years.
It's too
close to home.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to go back to South Dakota because that's a little bit happier.
Yeah. Got sidetracked with Calypso. The true TikTokians will know what I'm talking about when I'm referencing that video.
Known for its rare boxwork formations, which look like honeycomb patterns, Wind Cave National Park is also home to a thriving mixed grass prairie ecosystem on the surface featuring bison, prairie dogs, and pronghorn.
Did you know that all the bison in America, it's all bison? It's not a single buffalo.
Oh, I didn't.
Buffaloes are almost like a different animal.
Oh, interesting.
Like they look more cow-like. Like think of like a water buffalo.
Uh-huh.
Buffaloes look more like that.
Interesting.
and we don't have buffaloes. We only have bison.
Wow, fun fact.
Yeah.
Do you also, sidetrack, have that thing, that phobia where you don't like to look at things that look like honeycombs?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. I have no problem looking at honeycombs. So much so that there's this comedian lady on, well, she was on TikTok. She's also on Instagram, but she's really funny. And I follow her, and she has a tattoo on her knee, and it's a little honeycomb with a bee on it for like bee's knees.
I've seen that before. Okay.
And
It's
I want
called
it.
trypophobia.
Called what?
Trypophobia.
Okay.
It's the aversion to clusters of small holes or bumps. That doesn't get you.
Ew, on the hand? That's fucking gross.
But yeah, that's like the trypophobia. So a lot of people.
No, because I love bubble wrap.
Oh, yeah. People who have it can't look like honeycombs or bubble wrap or things like that.
Fuck with some bubble wrap. My mom, shout out to Gabby, would purposefully wrap my shit in bubble wrap, and it would be part of my gift.
Oh.
So that I could pop the bubbles.
Now they have bubble wrap that you can't pop. And the way you get it is like if you cut one little part of it, it all like deflates.
That's not a bubble wrap.
I know, it's not very fun.
That's a pouch.
Yeah, it's not very fun.
No.
Okay.
But it is kind of fun to stab it.
Yeah, it is. In addition to its famous bison herd, the Custer State Park features scenic drives like the Needles Highway and Wildlife Loop, as well as dramatic granite spires and hiking trails. It is also home to wild burros, often seen interacting with visitors. What are those?
What?
Wild burros.
I'm assuming burrows in the ground. Like a burrow.
Then how do they interact with visitors, Mackenzie?
I don't know. Ask ChatGPT. Also, okay, question. Going back to the honeycomb thing. So does that mean that those people like can't like watch SpongeBob?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Do you remember the episode where he like the wind is blowing through the holes and like the jellyfish are obsessed with him because the wind is blowing through his holes and making music?
I don't know.
And so I'm like, could they not watch that episode?
No, because I have a friend who has like the trypophobia stuff with like honeycombs and stuff, but she watches SpongeBob. Watched SpongeBob.
It should be watches.
Watches SpongeBob.
Did you find out what a burrow was?
No, it just keeps bringing up like because a donkey is a burro in Spanish.
Oh,
but I don't think wild donkeys are interacting with
burros. Hair blues, wild burros in South Dakota. Yeah, donkeys.
Interesting.
Begging burros.
Huh. Wow.
Well, it looks like a donkey.
It is. That's
so. Yeah, they're wild donkeys.
Huh. That's kind of cute. Okay. The iconic Missouri River, which bisects the state, supports a wide variety of fish species, such as paddlefish and catfish. Its banks are lined with cottonwood trees and are popular spots for birdwatching and waterfowl hunting. The Palisades State Park, Sioux
Quartzite
cliffs, formed over 1.2 billion years ago, attract climbers and photographers. Split Rock Creek adds to the park's beauty, creating a serene environment for kayaking and fishing.
Oh, I figured out our third sound.
Okay.
We need a ding, ding, ding.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Because I just did the check mark as our makeshift ding, ding, ding.
Why?
Because I talk about Split Rock Creek.
Oh. Okay, fun. The Ponderosa pine forests surrounding Mount Rushmore are home to animals like black bears, bobcats, and bald eagles. The area also contains many hiking trails that showcase the natural beauty beyond the sculpture.
You know what my favorite photos are?
What?
Is Native Americans.
Oh, yeah.
Going throughout Rushmore and just like taking pictures of flicking them off.
I love when people are like, that is so disrespectful. And people are like, they were here first.
Right. So is coming in and just completely annihilating like an entire group of people for their land.
People saying, go back to where you came from. They're like, this is where I came from. This is where I am from. The Spearfish Canyon's unique microclimate supports plant species not commonly found in other parts of the state, like the paper birch. In autumn, the canyon transforms into a vibrant display of golden and red foliage. The prairie pothole region was glacially formed, and it features thousands of small wetlands which are crucial for breeding waterfowl like ducks and geese. It's also a habitat for amphibians, insects, and native grasses.
Maybe we'll get a quack quack on here.
Ooh, that would be a very specific thing for like one story.
Yeah, I know, but I'd find a way to incorporate it.
The Black Hills Wild Horse Sanctuary provides a refuge for hundreds of Mustangs, allowing them to roam freely across 11,000 acres of open prairie and rocky terrain. Visitors can take guided tours to learn about the history of wild horses.
Could you imagine not knowing that a Mustang is a horse?
I'm just thinking it's a car.
I'm just thinking it's a bunch of wild cars.
We need to have someone draw that for us.
Yes.
Just wild cars on like 11,000 acres. Stretching 231 miles from South Dakota into North Dakota, Lake Oahe is a haven for outdoor enthusiasts. Its shores attract pelicans, herons, and other waterfowl, while its waters host large populations of walleye, making it a top fishing destination. The Buffalo Gap National Grassland is over 60,000 acres, and it supports prairie ecosystems with species like prairie chickens, burrowing owls, and endangered black-footed ferrets. Visitors can also see the iconic prairie dog towns. Oh, that sounds so cute! Covering nearly 21,000 acres, the Sand Lake National Wildlife Refuge supports over 260 bird species, including rare sightings of whooping cranes during migration. It's also home to white-tailed deer, muskrats, and amphibians. Named after the famous explorers, the Lewis and Clark Lake on the Missouri River provides opportunities for boating, hiking, and kayaking.
That says camping.
Camping. In my brain, I saw hiking and I was like, that's definitely kayaking, but I read it as hiking and then kayaking just still had to come out. So camping.
Kayaking is nowhere in there.
No, you can't kayak there. Maybe you can. You can boat. I don't know. It's surrounded by oak and cedar woodlands, creating a scenic backdrop for birdwatching. Rising over 4,400 feet, Bear Butte is a geological...
You should have said bare butt.
Bear Butte is a geological laccolith formed by magma pushing up sedimentary rock. It's a sacred site for many plains tribes and is used for ceremonies and vision quests. Hiking trails lead to panoramic views of the plains. The Great Plains grasslands, part of the larger North American prairie ecosystem, are dominated by species like big blue stern and Indian grass. Wildlife such as coyotes, hawks, and badgers thrive here, coexisting with grazing cattle.
That would be big blue stem.
What did I say?
Stern.
Huh. Because the M kind of looks like it could be an R and an N if you're reading fast.
Okay.
Yep. So with over 210 miles of explored passages, the Jewel Cave National Monument features stunning formations like stalactites, frostwork, and flowstone. Above ground, the park offers forested trails and habitats for bats and other wildlife. Known as the crown jewel of Custer State Park, the Sullivan Lake is surrounded by granite formations perfect for rock climbing. It's also a gateway for hikers heading to Black Elk Peak. Flowing through central South Dakota, the Cheyenne River sustains diverse habitats from rolling prairies to riparian woodlands. It's important for Native American communities and supports recreation like kayaking and fishing. Here we have kayaking.
Like 3 bullets later.
It's still a
Actually,
thing.
let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullets later. You could barely see the last one.
Kayaking and hiking and camping are all in like, and boating are all in the same like area. Like the same like
Correct,
activity.
but that doesn't mean that you read them the same way.
My brain just really wanted to say kayaking, which I am not very good at. Shocking.
Not at all.
Well, the one time Joe and I went kayaking, we like went out and it was nice. And I was like trying to help him, but I just kept hitting his oars. So he said, just stop. And I said, okay. So I just like chilled as he continued like kayaking for us. And then a storm started to come in. And so we had to turn around. And he's like, oh shit. So we're like,
For the sake of our marriage, stop fucking kayaking.
this was before we got married. We were just dating at this point and we made it through. So a storm starts to come in on the water and just like shit. And he's like paddling really, really fast to get us back to shore. And he's like, Lauren, please don't help. We made it in.
Make things worse.
We made it in before the storm hit. So,
That's so funny.
So I've never had a chance to redeem myself.
It's probably for the best.
It might be. The state's grasslands explode with color in the spring and summer as prairie coneflowers, pasque flowers, milkweed, and blazing stars bloom. These wildflowers support pollinators like bees and butterflies. Did you know? What is the flower
Did
called?
you know?
Oriander.
Okay.
Is it poisonous?
I think so.
Okay. So apparently if bees only populate and like get pollen from oriander flowers and then they make honey, their honey is poisonous.
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Yes.
I read that somewhere and I thought that was really
How
cool.
would you know?
You wouldn't. But I guess if you're in an area where there's a lot of like those flowers, then you probably don't want to eat local honey.
Mm.
Isn't that cool? I think it's cool. Okay.
I feel like that could do well in the black market.
Ooh, Oriander honey.
Yeah.
Well, it was like a post I saw. Someone was like, there should be someone who writes a book about like this little town. And there's this old lady, and she's like the cute old lady. And she gives all of her friends and family like little bits of honey that she puts like a little bow on, and she writes a little note to them. Little do they know that her bees pollinate oriander flowers. So her honey's poisonous, and people in the town just start dying. But no one knows why they're dying. It's all from her honey because she gives it to people who she's had a grudge with. I was like, that needs to be a book that someone writes.
Write it.
Yeah, okay. Maybe.
Write it.
South Dakota's position in Tornado Alley. I don't know why I didn't figure South Dakota would be in Tornado Alley.
I don't know why either.
Did you picture it to be there?
It's flat.
Yeah, but I think of Tornado Alley as like Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, that area.
The wooden thing's right there. Pick it up.
Oh,
I'm out.
See, it's all the way up here.
Above Nebraska.
Yeah, but I figured
Which
Tornado
is definitely
Alley.
Tornado Alley.
I figured it would be like
No, it's
like
gonna
here.
go up.
Just ramp.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not that far.
You don't know.
ChatGPT
What?
ChatGPT does.
Well, anywho.
I don't think it's like, maybe it's like on the edges of the alley.
Well, anywho, its position in Tornado Alley means dramatic summer storms often accompanied by striking lightning displays and towering thunderclouds. This weather phenomenon are both awe-inspiring and important for prairie ecosystems, replenishing water sources and fostering plant growth.
Unless human beings have fucked up our ecosystems so badly that now they're more intense and they just destroy.
They have gotten more intense. And like I've said, we've been having thunderstorms in December and January.
Yeah.
We should not be having thunderstorms in December and January.
And lightning on New Year's Eve.
It's usually the time for Roy to have like a little bit of a chill time when the winter comes, because he's like, okay, I know we won't have any thunderstorms, and now they're just popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah. James in the winter would chill out.
Yes.
It started raining.
Uh-huh.
Versus like in the summer, anytime it started raining, he would start to panic.
Yep. Same with Roy. But now there's no way to know.
There's no way to know. How are they going to know? Nobody's going to know. How will they know?
Mackenzie's just going to be mourning TikTok for a while, so we'll be hearing all the TikToks.
What spooky tea you pouring, Lauren?
Okay, I have a haunted location. Thank you. All right, located between Lake City and the ghost town Hillhead is a forested...
Wait.
What?
Okay, say that again?
I have one sentence in.
I know, but I need you to say this again.
Located... We're in North Dakota. Located between Lake City...
Lake City.
Yeah.
And where?
South Dakota.
Oh, wow. Oh my God.
And the ghost town Hillhead.
Lake City and Hillhead?
Yeah. What?
Those are just silly names.
Is
you
a forest.
North Dakota.
Oh, well, I meant South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
We're in South Dakota, I promise. Is a forested ravine known as Sica Hollow. This ground had once been the prosperous hunting ground for the Dakota Sioux Native Americans. That is, until they realized it was evil. Not wanting anyone to have to encounter it and wanting to warn others, they named it Sica, which means evil. But it wasn't always evil. What's that noise?
Birds.
Huh. But it wasn't always evil. The evil came upon the land later. So this is a legend of how Sica Hollow, because it's spelled Sica, like S-I-C-A, but it's pronounced Sica. So it trips me up. So yeah. Sica Hollow became evil. So this area had once belonged to a tribe, reports vary, but they mostly say it was a Sioux tribe. The hollow was the perfect place for the tribe to get through the winter. The trees and hills protected the tribe from the cold prairie winds and snow. The trees were also host to many animals who provided meat over the winter. And the tribe focused on Ati, a god who blessed them as long as they paid their respects to him. Then one day, a stranger came from the west and entered the hollow. And you're going to laugh at the name, but this was his name. His name was Hand. I wonder if that means something different, but that's what his name was. So he arrived with a broken arrow, worn moccasins, and told the tribe he had no family. He was not tall and
he needed a hand.
Oh my God.
Shit was fucking funny. I don't care who you are.
He was not tall and his eyes were thin. But there was an air about him. It told people to be afraid, and the tribe listened to that feeling, and they were wary of the stranger. Hand proved that they should be. He ate a lot and never once showed thanks for the food. He never prayed. He would laugh at the older men. He did not smile, and he did not join in on storytelling. Word started spreading through the tribe that he should be sent away. But it was winter, so the elders in the group allowed him to stay, saying that once the weather warmed up, he needed to move on. But Hand had made connections. He was showing the young boys tricks. He showed them how he was able to get prey to come to him while hunting, but would laugh at the young boys whenever they made a mistake. And around the fire, he would ask the young boys questions, like, why did they follow the old ways of doing things? Do they have no glory? He began telling them that, in the dark of the night, he could bring them big kills that would make them warriors, feared by everyone. He continued saying they would be great chiefs and wear scalps on their belts, not just tails of rabbits. He promised them a lot. But he always asked the boys to keep their conversations a secret, not telling the elders about what he was saying. When spring finally rolled around, the young men were now more confident. They were after the young women in the tribe, and they knew that if they brought back a great kill, they would be able to prove their manhood and find a young woman to marry. Hand gave the young men one final pep talk. Quote, listen then to me and prepare your war clubs. Soon the valley trail will be dusty, with camps moving north to the lakes of rice. If you follow me, you will strike many coups, and you will have many eagle feathers in your hair. You will be men, not old skeletons who sit and dream in the lodges. So they made their war clubs and waited. And sure enough, there were many camps who passed through the hollow, but they always passed by showing signs of friendship, knowing they were safe to pass through. The following tribes and the Sioux tribes were friends and had been for many years, so the travel between the two was safe. But no longer. Hand had taught the boys to strike, and strike they did. There was so much bloodshed created by these young men that it was said the river ran red. Horror spread through the hollow. The council and the tribe who these young men belonged to were horrified. No one had ever acted this way. The tribe members went to the council and the medicine man to find out how they could make up for the sins of their sons, how to wash the hollow of these crimes, what sacrifices may be needed. They wanted the hollow to go back to what it was before Hand had arrived. Wakasawakan, the medicine man, went to his own lodge to listen to Wakantanka, which is Lakota for Great Spirit. There he also waited for Thunderer, another god, to bring him a message. The camp listened only to the holy man and prayed with him. An evil had come into their peace, and only Thunderer could cleanse it for them. But Hand and the young men were still killing, ripping apart families and traveling tribes, leaving behind no survivors.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Finally, there was a whistle and a rattle. Ate? I can't remember how I said it.
Yeah, that's...
Okay.
Or no.
Ate?
Ati.
Ati. The father had heard his people. He had accepted their sacrifice. Unsure what the sacrifice was. His messenger was coming. Through holes in the suddenly appearing smoke, the dark wings of Thunderer were seen. He emitted a great blinding light. Suddenly, Hand was overtaken by intense fear. He crouched and shook, soon overtaken by madness, but he could not escape it. To cleanse the hollow, Thunderer let it rain. There was so much rain and water that the hollow rapidly flooded. Hand tried to run, but, quote, the wings of Thunderer beat him back into the flood that rained from the cloud. Vines reached up for him and took him by the ankles. The water rose to his screaming mouth and his gaping eyes. He was too evil to cry for mercy, and the talons of Thunderer ripped out his sight so he would never see the happy hunting ground.
Damn.
Wakantanka did not take all of the sacrifices that had been offered to him, but he did take some. The flood had not only killed Hand, but it had also killed the entire tribe, all except for one young girl, Fawn. She was the only one who had not been killed by the flood. Alone on a hill, she sang this song to the Great Spirit. Quote, I am grieved for... I'm not going to sing it.
Okay.
I am grieved for the evil that my brothers did. Your beautiful land is destroyed. I stand alone with you. Let me sing my song before I join my sisters. You were good to us before evil entered our peace. Now I grieve. I ask for your kindness. Ate made this ground where I stand hollow again. Remember the little spot and send your love here. From this ground, make a new people, and they will worship you always. Now I go to you. The story ends with, quote, below her the hollow is clean and bright again. Only the memory lingers. Sica Hollow. Someday, even this bad name will be changed and forgotten. Gentle smoke will rise again. It'll be called by its old name, Mokoki Waste. So that is the legend of how evil entered Sica Hollow, and it never really left, leaving behind an evil energy and presence. So, we don't like Hand. That's when we would need the little boo.
Boo.
Some of that evil energy left behind claims that the Sica Hollow springs water runs red from the blood of the ancestors that was shed in the area. The Trail of Spirits path has bubbling red bogs and was believed by the Sioux to be the flesh and blood of their ancestors. Tree stumps supposedly glow in the dark, and mounds rise out of the ground where animals won't even go. It is believed the mounds represent the tribe members who were killed and who died.
Don't touch my foot.
It's just so weird because you flexed your toes as I was reading. I just see your foot go.
They twitch.
Good. That's not distracting at all. So, in 1841, a man named Robert Roy was the first white man to make his home near the hollow. As the tribes before him, he found the area to be abundant with game, so a perfect place to hunt and live. He felt no evil in the area, so he built his home in a deep ravine. The tribes of the time thought he was crazy for building a home in an area that they would never set foot in. They said that only a fool would build a house on haunted, cursed grounds. And he supposedly lived here for years. Eventually, an expedition of soldiers from nearby Browns Valley, Minnesota, set out to Sica Hollow to gather strategic information about the area. They wanted to find Roy and see what he knew about the area and if he had any information that would be useful to them. They finally found him after searching for days. It is unsure what they encountered in those few days looking for him, but they agreed with the tribes that Roy must be crazy to live in such a haunted place.
Oh.
They never said what they saw, just that he was crazy. This place is haunted.
Enough said.
And maybe to add to the hauntedness of the land, there is another legend. This legend takes place during the Civil War, so sometime between 1861 and 1865, so supposedly after Robert Roy had moved in.
Mm-hmm.
Legend goes that tribes were moving the natives towards the reservations, but one group didn't want to leave their land. They cherished the land that they had owned for generations, and the troops were unable to convince them to leave. The medicine man of the tribe told the army that they would never be able to force the tribe out, and that if they tried, the land would be cursed. Well, the army chased the tribe into the hollow, but the tribe was never seen again. It is believed that the haunting of the land now comes from the tribe who was driven out of the home that they loved and cherished.
Well,
it's again, fuck around and find out.
Exactly.
In the 1970s, there was a rash of mysterious disappearances with hikers disappearing, never to be found. It is said that the evil spirits here preys on those who venture too far into the hollow, drawing them in further with its sinister influence. Search parties went out, but the hikers were never found. Some people who went out searching, though, did admit that they were searching for a half-man, half-beast, like a Bigfoot, who they believed was behind the disappearances and who lived in this very hollow.
Mm.
Some people who are familiar with the area say that the paths that they know have changed and have led them in circles, as if the land itself is trying to keep them there.
Ooh.
So this Bigfoot creature has been spotted in the hollow, but skeptics say that it was nothing more than a bear who had found its way into the hollow. However, no bear or any bear evidence has ever been found.
Oh.
But someone commented on a post from Legends of America. They said that not far from Sica Hollow, they were driving down a gravel road going about 55 to 65 miles per hour, which is 88 to 104 kilometers per hour. They said that out of the woods came what they could only describe as a large brown bear the size of a mid-sized car.
Ew.
There's no bears that big. Well, not in this area.
I don't know.
It ran in the ditch next to the car, keeping up with the speed before it ran back into the woods. So fun fact, I looked it up. The top speed of a brown bear, like what they thought it was, is only 35 miles per hour.
Only.
Not 56. Or 55 to 65.
I think only like a cheetah can go that fast.
Right.
Yeah, or like an ostrich or some shit like that. I don't know, I feel like ostriches can run fast.
I think they probably can.
They just look like they're
just booking it. This person also said that they have seen and heard things that they would only tell someone they knew. Like, they would only tell locals. They would never tell, like, someone who doesn't live there. And that there are many stories that only locals know about the hollow and its powers. They didn't tell us what it was.
Well, you're not a local.
I know. But another explanation for the disappearances could be the fact that there are quicksand bogs in the hollow. And in the early days of the park, there were no fencing to keep people on the trails and away from the dangerous things. This is when quicksand really does become an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone went to the park at night and happened to wander off the trail, they could have fallen into one of these bogs, never make it out. The Courier, which is like a newspaper, Gina Evanson grew up near Sica Hollow. She said, quote, "My grandpa owned land east of the park and lost cattle because they got into the bogs and sank in."
Oh my.
I know. Another explanation could be that the hollow has many steep drop-offs and ravines. So what's
drop-off? Taking them to the drop-off?
Finding Nemo.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is that the hollow is very hilly and wooded, but surrounded by prairie and plains.
Like miniature mountains?
Maybe. This is a phenomenon caused by receding glaciers over 20,000 years ago, which is kind of cool. So when you enter Sica Hollow State Park, you are starting at the highest point and driving to the lowest part of the hollow. So you start up high and you drive down low. There are different points. I knew you were going to like make a weird noise. There are different lookout points, one called Dead Man's Curve, of course, where you can look down into the ravines. Some are so deep you can barely see the bottom, and in others you can see stuff left behind from houses that were once there and cars that have gone over the ravine that have just never been able to be pulled out.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Isn't that creepy?
Yes.
Visitors also claim to hear voices, footsteps, war cries, beating drums, and chanting.
No clapping?
No clapping. No. Hikers will hear with hand. Yeah. Could you ever do the one-handed clap?
No.
There were people who could like shake their hand in a way and it would be a one-handed clap. Not on your shoulder.
No, since breaking my wrist, it doesn't go down that way. I can make cracking sounds.
Yeah, I can do those.
That's about as close to clapping as I get.
No one wants to hear that kind of clapping. Hikers will hear footsteps following them only to turn around and see no one behind them.
Could you imagine?
Literally, no. I don't want to. That's so creepy.
Well, that, but I was going to, what I was going to say was imagine going hiking and instead of hearing footsteps, you hear claps.
Ew.
Yeah.
Like you jump over a boulder.
Yeah. I'd be like, thanks.
Thank you. People have also reported seeing distant campfires that can never be found. Some people have even reported that they have seen the ghostly Native Americans walking around. Another legend is, of course, that of the crying woman. Apparently, she lost her child or husband and wandered into the hollow, overcome with despair. It is said that her spirit now roams the hollow, wailing and crying for the loved one she lost. Hikers have even reported hearing a woman crying in the distance, and as they try to find her and reach her location, no one is ever there. Another person who visited said that the main thing they noticed was the lack of living things there that you would normally see in the woods. So there were no animals, no birds, no insects, and they visited in the summer.
Yeah, because nature knows.
When something's evil?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nature knows.
People also report the area to be unnaturally quiet, like the hollow absorbs sound.
Well, if there's also no animals.
Right, which is just like, it's just so creepy.
Yeah.
Like when Jared and I were on the Appalachian Trail. Creepy. I know it was winter. I get it, but it was still creepy.
Yeah. See, I have less sympathy for that one because you went way too far before you said, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So
I was listening to him, which I knew I shouldn't have done.
Like that was.
Well, because he looked at his phone and it hadn't updated from where we were last. So he was like, oh, the parking lot's like a 12-minute walk from here. I said, great. After 12 minutes, I said, I don't see or hear a parking lot. Looked on my phone, 20 minutes away. Through the woods. There's no way we would have had to walk back 6.5 miles.
You went way more than 12 minutes.
I know. Well, that was after we had already hiked like 6 miles.
Mm-hmm.
It was a thing. Others have reported the strong feeling of being watched or followed. The weather is also oddly unpredictable here. The weather can be calling for clear skies, but suddenly a storm will appear out of nowhere. Some believe it is a sign of the malevolent forces in the area. This sometimes will cause travelers to become trapped or disoriented, which also adds to a sense of dread. Chris Hull, a worker at the South Dakota Department of Game, Fish, and Parks, said that he and some friends planned to camp in the hollow one night. They had forgotten a few things, so one of their friends returned home to grab the forgotten supplies. Quote, we were hiking and heard him yell from down in the hollow, Hull recalled. He must have yelled 5 or 6 times. We wondered if his truck had gotten stuck and if he...
Did you get your truck stuck?
We wondered if his truck had gotten stuck and he had started walking. Hull said that they walked to the bottom of the hollow where their friend was calling them, but their friend wasn't there. They walked back to their campsite and got back at the same time as their friend. They told him what had happened, but he said it wasn't him. He had been home.
Ooh.
I hate the mimicky things.
Yeah.
And the things that can like replicate the voices of people you know.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
There is also a common thing where people will hear disembodied voices calling their names. Sometimes people even hear a low, ominous growl that comes from the shadows. Or a snarl.
Shut up.
Moans, groans, and screams are sometimes reported here, but they have been rationalized as sounds of trapped gas escaping from the muddy bogs. Boring.
Okay. Sorry, it's not scary enough for you.
The campfires that can never be found could be attributed to swamp gas or foxfire. We talked about foxfire in our Kentucky episode, the one with the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
So foxfire is the phosphorescent light emitted from certain fungi and decaying timber.
Ew.
Today, Sica Hollow remains a reserve area, as it is clear no one wants to live on evil soil. So while Sica Hollow State Park is said to be absolutely beautiful, if you go, you are taking your chances of entering evil land.
Well,
I don't think I would go.
No.
Not even to like hike. I heard it's beautiful. People have taken pictures and posted like the plant life and the rare animal
That's
life.
great. Then we don't have to go. We can look at their pictures.
Right, but I don't want to go. I don't want to go to land where people say is terrifying. And so many people did report hearing drums when they were in there. And I was like, no. No
Be the
thanks.
sound of their heartbeat beating in their ears because it's so silent.
And they're so terrified.
Maybe.
But yeah, that's the hollow.
That's a harrowing hollow. Horrific hollow. A horrendous hollow. I can't think of another.
Yeah, so that's the hollow. Thanks. Okay, Mackenzie, what story do you have for us?
I would just like to say, in between takes, I was watching reels like a peasant. And I saw one where it was like this lady was like, you know, all of us that were on Instagram the last 5 years just watching TikTok from Instagram and blah, 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 feeling validated. And then this person commented like, well, if they came from TikTok, how the fuck are you going to see them? I'm like, yeah, dumbass.
Yeah.
We gave Instagram all its content.
I am wondering, like, the people who got really, really rich off of TikTok, like, what are they going to do now?
They're fucked.
Unfortunate.
That is why. But, and like, that's the thing though, too. Like, people have legitimate businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we can laugh at, you know, the people that we just doom scroll. But, like, this seriously affects people. Like, it's not just like a fun account or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, people have whole ass businesses on there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I just think a lot of things are going to be happening over the next couple weeks that are going to have no regard for the public and are going to cause a lot of issues.
Well, and I just think it's funny that Donnie thinks that if he comes in with TikTok and saves it, that all of a sudden all the Gen Z and millennials are going to be like, oh my God, Donnie, we love you.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
It's like, no, we're not crazy. We can be like, thanks for giving us the thing that you wanted to ban in the first place, and thanks for giving it back.
Right.
But we still fucking hate you.
Yeah.
So we cannot be bought. Well,
one of our friends last night even said, she's like, if he does bring it back, I don't even know if I'm going to want it anymore.
Oh, I'll still want it. I will still want it. I will not thank him though. The thing with that though is that people are like, oh, this brand supports Trump or supports whatever. And I'm like, if it's a corporation, like a big time corporation, duh. It's going to put money in whoever's fucking pocket they want.
Except Chipotle didn't.
Like, what is it? Conscious consuming or whatever it's called?
I don't know.
It's too hard. Because at this point, I'm just going to have to filter feed off of air.
Oh, yeah.
In order to be a consumer that doesn't contribute to
Chipotle.
Great. But Diet Coke?
Every meal.
Coca-Cola?
I don't know. I don't know who supports who sometimes. I know the big companies.
I saw these comments on TikTok and everyone's like, oh yeah, Pepsi this, Pepsi that. And I'm like, no. No. And then at some point too, some people were like, well, this is why I drink like Mountain Dew or I don't know. I think someone said Dr. Pepper. I was like, do people not realize that a lot of these sodas are all under one company?
Yeah, they are.
Like it's almost like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Dr. Pepper is Coca-Cola. Like, yeah. So just saying. Anyway.
South Dakota.
A gulch. A deep, narrow ditch with a stream running through its base. A gully is very similar, but smaller than a gulch.
Oh.
In geology, a gulch is generally described as a, quote, V-shaped valley with either a dry creek bed or an active creek at the bottom. The gulch itself is formed by gradual erosion. Gulch is an American word believed to stem from the now obsolete gulch, gush out, from Middle English, glutchen, to gush forth. Devil is defined as the personal supreme spirit of evil, often represented in Christian belief as the tempter of humankind, the leader of obstinate angels. I don't know what that means.
Oh.
And the ruler of hell, usually used with the. Often used as an interjection, an intensive, or a generalized term of abuse. Example, what the devil is this? Devil's Gulch. A supreme spirit of evil's deep, narrow ditch with a stream running through its base.
Okay.
That's my definition.
I like it.
Thank you. Specifically the one located in Garretson, South Dakota. Devil's Gulch, located near Garretson in eastern South Dakota, is a striking natural feature steeped in both geological beauty and legend. This dramatic chasm. This dramatic chasm is carved by Split Rock Creek, which winds its way through a landscape of rugged quartzite rock formations. See? Ding, ding, ding.
That's how you knew how to say quartzite.
Yep. Well, I know how to say quartzite.
Well, that too.
Some words I can read. The gulch itself is a narrow, steep-sided gorge with sheer cliffs that rise sharply from the creek below, creating a visually stunning and secluded environment. The quartzite formations that define Devil's Gulch are part of the Sioux Quartzite Formation, some of the oldest exposed rock in the region, dating back nearly 1.6 billion years. The deep pink and reddish hues of the stone contrast vividly with the surrounding greenery, particularly during spring and summer months. The area is surrounded by rolling prairie and farmland, giving the gulch an unexpected and dramatic appearance in an otherwise open landscape. I've seen pictures, but it's like close-up pictures, but when I read that. I just pictured like flat, 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 deep cut into the earth. Flat, 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 flat. Visitors can explore the trails that lead to the edges of the cliffs, providing breathtaking views of the creek and the surrounding quartzite formations. The tranquil yet dramatic setting of Devil's Gulch makes it a unique and memorable destination in South Dakota. But I did not just pick this place for its beautiful scenery. There's an abundance of legends that haunt this location. The legends date back centuries. Starting with the Native American legend that provides a possible explanation of how this chasm formed seemingly in the middle of a wide open space. Cue the chicks.
Wide open spaces.
So beautiful. I so love the fact that you right there with that. So before it became known as Devil's Gulch, this striking location was called Spirit Canyon, a name rooted in a powerful Native American legend. According to the tale, the canyon's creation was the result of a fierce clash between two warriors. Armed with tomahawks, they battled until one hurled his weapon into the earth. The force of the strike was so great that it split the ground apart, leaving behind the dramatic chasm we see today. The story centers around Hashutska, a warrior infamous for sowing discord among his own tribe.
Ooh, just like Hand.
Yes.
But it wasn't his own tribe. He infiltrated the tribe.
Yeah. His cunning and divisive nature brought turmoil to his people, making him feared and a polarizing figure. Deja vu. One fateful day, a visitor from the spirit world arrived in the form of a warrior from the local Sioux Nation. This was Iktomi, the trickster spirit known for his cunning and unpredictable ways. When Hashutska encountered Iktomi, jealousy and suspicion overwhelmed him. Insulting the spirit, Hashutska provoked a confrontation. The two warriors soon found themselves locked in battle, their tomahawks clashing with violent intensity. As the fight raged, Iktomi's eyes began to glaze with unnatural fire. Overcome with fear, Hashutska turned and fled. Bye, bitch. Seizing the moment, Iktomi threw his tomahawk with incredible force. When it struck the ground, a bolt of lightning illuminated the sky, and the earth beneath them split apart, creating the jagged canyon. The event was so awe-inspiring that it cemented the area as a place of spiritual significance, eventually earning the name Spirit Canyon.
Oh.
The origins of the modern name Devil's Gulch remain mysterious and largely separate from the ancient legend. Yet the haunting story of Spirit Canyon lingers, a testament to the powerful forces, both human and supernatural, that shaped the land. The legend of Dick Willoughby and Nell Harding, I get a lot of Nells these days.
Yeah, actually you do.
Has been told and retold since the late 1800s. I even found a newspaper article from 1894 talking about this legend.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So maybe it's a little bit of a true story about how love conquers all. Kind of.
The kind of is always suspicious.
Dick Willoughby was ambitious and level-headed, which was the perfect combination to make the rich soil around his new Wisconsin homestead a success.
His Wisconsin home?
Yep.
Okay.
He only had a little more work to do, and then he was going to ask Nell Harding to marry him. Sadly, Nell's father, Jim Harding, had a restless urge to go farther west. He had heard about land opportunities being promoted by land promotion companies.
Oh.
The land clear across Minnesota and into Dakota territory had recently been surveyed and seemed mighty promising.
Was this the point when it was just the Dakota territory? Like North and South Dakota, like one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was a state yet.
Okay.
Dick tried to convince Mr. Harding to reconsider the move. He had heard that the land promoters weren't always truthful and there's still plenty of good land and timber in Wisconsin. He was also concerned about the Native Americans defending their land in the Dakotas. It wasn't said like that in the article, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
But old Jim Harding's mind was made up. He said, "Pack up the kids and blankets, Ma, we're moving west." With a heavy heart, Dick said goodbye to his love and returned to his homestead.
Aww.
Dick went through the motions of his work, but his mind always went to thoughts of Nell.
How old was Nell? Like, why couldn't she just stay with Dick?
Because they weren't married.
Oh.
Yeah.
The times.
The times. One day, Dick confided in his neighbor about a horribly realistic dream he had one night. He said he saw the Harding family cross over into South Dakota and set up camp for the night beside a river. They were attacked and massacred by a small band of Native Americans led by a white man.
Oh.
Dick was not known for being superstitious, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was about to happen. After Dick's neighbor promised to look after things, he tied a small bag of provisions to the saddle of his best horse and armed himself with a revolving chamber rifle and set out. He followed the trail of the Hardings to Worthington, where he learned that the family had passed through the night before he had his dream. He continued on, and soon he was within the boundary of the Dakota Territory. He continued on a trail until he came to the river he saw in his dream, but he'd already knew what he would find.
Oh, no.
Jim Harding's body was brutally hacked, and his head had been scalped. Mrs. Harding and the Harding's other child, I don't know if it was a son or a daughter, the
Mhm.
way the newspaper said it was like EPH, F, Ep, Puff. I don't know.
If.
But I'm assuming the other kid.
Yeah.
Had been shot and mutilated.
Oh my God.
The wagon was in ashes, the horses and cows gone, and there was no trace of Nell.
Was there a wife? Like the mom?
Yeah, Mrs. Harding.
Where was she?
Dead.
Oh, she was dead too.
Yeah, Mrs. Harding and the Harding's other child.
Oh, okay. We harped so much on the other child that I forgot that we talked about the mom.
Yeah. Dick saw hoofprints and followed them along the bank of Split Rock River for almost 10 miles. At dusk, he had made it all the way to what was referred to as Spirit Canyon, Devil's Gulch.
Mm-hmm.
Smelling smoke, Dick dismounted his horse and crept along, hidden by scrub trees. Suddenly, something caught his eye, and he dodged back deeper into the brush so he wouldn't be seen. Dick was able to see a small fire burning on a rock shelf that was several feet down from the rim of the canyon. Its steep sides overhung a pool far to the bottom. Dick's eyes finally became accustomed to the dim light, and he could make out 6 Native Americans and a white man. They were talking in low, guttural tones while they cooked something over the fire.
Oh, no.
Dick steadied his rifle on an outcropping of rock and fired. 4 natives were shot and fell one by one. The other 2 looked frantically into the darkness, then jumped, quote, shrieking off the shelf into the chilling waters of the bottomless pit.
Mm.
The white man drew a revolver and fired in the direction of Dick's shots. Then he disappeared into the shadows. A moment later, he reemerged, leading a woman whose hands were tied with his gun to her head. Dick instantly recognized Nell and could hear her sobbing pleas. The outlaw yelled, quote, if this is what you want, come and get it. Then he tripped Nell to the floor of the shelf and shot her.
Well, now he's not going to do anything because you just took away the thing he wanted.
Then the man crawled up the rocks, mounted a horse, and rode into the night.
Oh, my God.
At first, Dick was too stunned to act. He saw what happened, but he was helpless. In a few seconds, he collected himself and leapt onto his saddle and set off after the murderer. The moon illuminated a bouncing silhouette ahead. The chase went on for 5 miles, but Dick slowly overtook his man. Then suddenly the murderer's horse stumbled and he flew over the horse's head. He quickly got to his feet and immediately drew his gun. Dick bore down, rifle cocked. Both men fired simultaneously. The outlaw died with a bullet wound through his skull. Dick slumped over with a hole torn in his abdomen.
Oh, my God.
Dick knew he was mortally hurt, but he managed to cling to his saddle and stay almost upright. Ever so slowly, he urged his tired horse back to the rock shelf where Nell's body lay. By sunrise, he had found her, dragged her off the shelf and to the top of the gulch. It was there he was found, having died with his dead sweetheart in his arms.
So sad.
Many have said you can still hear the screams of the young lovers deep within the chasm walls.
Oh, my God. That's so sad.
Yeah.
Well, that's a depressing one.
That's why I say kind of.
Kind of what?
That love conquers all.
Oh. Yeah. Kind of.
They were together in the end.
It's like in the Notebook. No. Titanic. Well, Notebook and Titanic. Both things.
Not Titanic. They didn't die together. The Titanic.
In the movie, they did. No, I'm talking about the old couple. The old couple in Titanic where they're flooding and they just lay with each other.
Yeah.
And then in the Notebook,
yes,
when I don't think that's how it actually ends in the book, but in the movie it does.
Allie dies in the book.
Yeah.
Because there's a second book called The Wedding.
Oh.
And it's a perspective from a man who's either married and like the relationship's kind of meh, and I believe his father-in-law is Noah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Jesse James, a legendary American outlaw, was born on September 5th, 1847 in Clay County, Missouri. His life is a mix of truth and myth, making him one of the most infamous figures of the American West. Jesse James grew up in a deeply divided Missouri during the Civil War era. His family owned slaves and sympathized with the Southern cause. During the Civil War, Jesse and his older brother, Frank James, joined Confederate guerrilla groups known as bushwhackers, engaging in brutal raids and ambushes. These experiences likely shaped Jesse's later career as an outlaw. After the war, Missouri was marked by economic hardship and political tension. Jesse and Frank James, along with other former bushwhackers, began robbing banks, stagecoaches, and trains, targeting institutions they associated with Union authority or wealthy elite. The James Younger Gang, which included Jesse, Frank, and the Younger brothers, as in capital Y, their last name is Younger.
Oh!
So you have James, Jesse, and Frank.
Okay.
And then the Younger
Okay.
brothers.
Okay. So I was like, oh, his younger brothers. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
The Younger, capital Y, brothers.
Gotcha.
Was formed in the late 1860s. Their first documented robbery was Clay County Savings Bank in 1869, believed to be the first daylight armed bank robbery in U.S. history. So our next story begins in September of 1876, after Jesse James and his gangs' ill-fated attempt to rob the First National Bank in Northfield, Minnesota. With the town citizens fighting back, Jesse and his brother Frank fled west across the plains, hotly pursued by a posse determined to bring them to justice. Exhausted and desperate, the James brothers sought refuge wherever they could find it. As the posse closed in near the small town of Garrettson, Jesse's legendary cunning came into play. The terrain was rugged, dominated by steep cliffs and a chasm that would later become known as Devil's Gulch. According to the legend, Jesse James found himself cornered at the edge of the gulch, a sheer 20-foot wide gap with treacherous rock walls and a creek rushing below. With no other options, the posse closing in, Jesse spurred his horse and made the impossible leap across the chasm. Against all odds, he landed safely on the other side, disappearing into the wilderness and leaving the lawmen stunned at the feat that they just witnessed.
He needs to praise his horse. He didn't make the jump. His horse made the jump.
You're right. You're so right.
Yeah.
Though some question the truth of the tale, the legend of Jesse's leap has endured, becoming a cornerstone of local lore. Devil's Gulch stands as a testament to his daring and audacity, drawing visitors eager to see the site of his supposed escape. When I was reading the articles about this, there was one that was talking about that, like, the only way he could have made it across was on a horse.
Well, yeah.
And, like, it's possible, but...
It's possible the horse could make it?
Yeah.
But, like, not like...
Like, first go was, like, the part that it was, like, probably not.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a horse person.
I'm not either.
But
good for the horse.
Good for the horse. Devil's Gulch isn't just famous for Jesse's leap and Nell and Dick's tragic tale. Over the years, locals and visitors alike have reported strange occurrences near the chasm. Some claim to hear the echo of hoofbeats late at night, as though Jesse's ghost is reenacting his escape. Others speak of an eerie presence, a sensation of being watched from the shadows of the cliffs. The creek that runs through the gulch is said to carry whispers on the wind, faint voices calling out from another time. Some believe they've heard Nell's mournful cries, while others swear they've seen a figure in a white gown wandering near the edge, her face a mask of sorrow. In conclusion, today's Devil's Gulch is a popular destination for history buffs and thrill seekers alike. Visitors can walk the trails and stand at the edge of the gulch and imagine the harrowing moments that shaped its legend. The legends of Jesse James and Devil's Gulch, as well as Nell Harding and Dick Willoughby, are tales of bravery, desperation, and the enduring power of love. Whether you believe in these stories or dismiss them as folklore, there's no denying their allure. So the next time you find yourself near a windswept chasm or hear the faint echo of hoofbeats or sorrowful cries, remember the legends that make Devil's Gulch a place of eternal mystery.
Ooh. So we got some haunted and, like, spooky places in South Dakota.
Some haunted
Haunted land.
Haunted land. Haunted yeah. Haunted land.
Mine works for a haunted hollow.
Haunted Hollow, Haunted Gulch.
Haunted Hollow and Grim Gulch.
Ooh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's good because this is right at the end, so I'll listen to it and be like, ah, yes, good title.
That will be perfect.
Oh, we're like, I don't have to think of any.
And look at that. It hasn't even started snowing yet.
It's too warm.
Are we still supposed to get snow today?
I don't know.
I hope so. I love snow.
I don't.
Ugh, it's rain.
That's okay.
And then at 3 p.m., it's snow for like 3 hours. Like, look at what's coming towards us.
At 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gross. I don't like the rain. If it's going to be cold and there's going to be precipitation, I want it to be snow.
Only if it's like a Sunday night where I have work the next day. I don't have work tomorrow.
That is true. I don't either.
So for all those that are in mourning, besides just TikTok, we're in this together.
Mm-hmm.
The next 4 years are going to be hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's already started.
Yep.
And it's not even official yet. So,
just listen to us as we fill your ears with scary tales and other awful people.
Yeah, and really awesome sound effects.
Yeah, obviously they awesome sound effects. That's why people come to this.
Now they do.
For the sound effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've gotten good feedback so far.
From one person.
Shh, he's important.
Oh, I was talking about my mom.
Oh, no.
So we have 2 feedbacks.
Yeah, one that's not a parent. So So it's like a little bit more legit.
No, that one is way more legit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought we were talking about my mom. And I was like, my mom said it was great. But I didn't know we actually had someone who said it was good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
He
exciting.
said he liked them.
That's exciting.
I said good because they're not going anywhere.
Oh, well, good. Okay, that's more reassuring.
Yes. So it seems it's more legitimate because it's not from someone who, has to tell us we're pretty because they're our mom.
Like who bought us the sound machine.
Yeah, that too.
All right, well, stay scary.
And stay safe.